friends, welcome back. My name is Kristen. This is Growing Zone 9B. All right, so we have some stuff that we need to be talking about. So one of my friends sent this to me. It's from the Economic Times, and it says World War III on the horizons. Why European nations are preparing for war. What? What's happening? Like, this is insane. Listen, what does this mean for the world? There's this whole article on it. You guys can go check it out. I will try to link this in the video. I think this is very scary. They're telling citizens to stockpile food, water, and emergency supplies. I'm like, there was literally, my friend sent me this video of like literally this lady telling the citizens what to put in like their purses, like females, like and I guess this could work for males if they have like a little bag or something, but it was like, make sure you have enough stuff for 72 hours to survive on. So like a mini crisis to get somewhere basically until you're like in a safe place. Like, is there really a safe place if a war is like getting ready to occur? I don't think so, friends. Like, not unless you have a bunker, and most of us don't have a bunker. So yeah, it's really scary. We have been talking on this channel about, you know, preparing. The garden has more than just what you see behind me. I've got tomatoes, I've got seeds. But listen, stockpiling, that's a whole nother ball game. I definitely have like stuff prepared to some degree, but and granted, we are talking European nations, but once it starts affecting them, it kind of has a tendency to spread. So if Russia wants to go to war, what do you think's gonna happen? Like, I think listen, I've just been keeping my eyes open, right? That's what we all need to do. We need to have eyes wide open. I think a lot of people are waking up. I think this is just, like I said, I think this is the beginning. I shot a video not that long ago and I said I'm concerned, and I have these like reoccurring, like, I'm not gonna say visions, but these reoccurring like messages, let's put it that way, that there's going to be a lot of death. And I said, well, maybe I'm just like being silly because I work in the field of death and dying, and so maybe it's just like a Freudian subliminal, you know, situation here where because I see it, so therefore I am projecting it in a different fashion, and, you know, Freudian dreams and whatnot. But no, friends, this could get really, really, really serious. You know, we are one people at the end of the day. You know, our blood is the same. So, and I can guarantee you that, let's just say the uppers, right? They're not sending their kids off to war. The people that are going to be going off to war are going to be, you know, husbands, potentially wives. You know, it's going to be my nephews, niece. That's really scary because we don't know how long a war will last. We as Christians knew that at some point a war would come. It is written, it is prophetic, it is in black and white that something's going to happen, and whether people want to believe that or not, that is up to them. But there is definitely, if they just want to look at it like an ancient text, there is absolutely information in the written word that says end times are coming. I mean, we're also in a solar cycle that the temperatures are going to start escalating. This is going to be one of the hottest summers, supposedly, that's going to be on record. So that's going to make things more difficult to grow. It's going to make it, you know, hard for trying to supply food if our country gets involved with a war. I mean, look at what's happening. The president wants to take Greenland, so maybe he had some premonition that Russia wanted to fight. I don't know, like I'm just saying, like, there's some crazy things that are happening that we need to keep our eyes open for, and we have to do the best we can to try to survive these situations. I literally had someone just tell me like they didn't want to survive. Like they're just like, oh, I hope it just the bomb drops right on me. And I'm like, oh, we need to talk about that. Like, but I think that that's what a lot of people are feeling, is a lot of angst, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And so it's very concerning. We as a people, this is the time that we have to be praying for our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our families. We have to just keep the prayer up and just do the best we can in these types of situations. I feel like at this point, if you weren't already preparing, it may be too late. So I still want to encourage you guys to be preparing. Work with people. Like I've said, community is going to be really important in time of war. So that's one of the things, again, that my grandparents taught me. So not only in the Depression, but my grandfather, he was in World War II. My dad was in Vietnam. So, you got to rely on family and you have to rely on community to kind of come together, and in those times, and you really become dependent on one another in finding a way to survive. So while it may not be directly affecting us, like our land, it's not treading on our land, so to speak, it could definitely be, we could be seeing images on the news or the media that is going to be really hard, because the European countries are not really, they've not really been at war like that. Great Britain and stuff like that, not for quite some time. And so to even put this on the table, to me, just tells us where we are as a society, as a world entity. And so it is concerning. I mean, I'm just very concerned for you all. I am praying for you all. We must be praying for each other. Keep preparing. Do the best that you can. I'm not telling you to go run out and buy a bunch of cans of soup. One of my friends was saying, she's like, I did what you and my husband wanted. I got a bunch of soup. And I'm like, I don't think I ever said to buy a bunch of soup. I think I said be prepared. If you felt like soup was how you prepared, then you do what's best for you. Preparedness looks very different to everyone. I don't recommend going out and necessarily buying like a bug out bag that's a pre-bag that you kind of already have put together by someone else. Because hypothetically, they could put something in that bag. Let's just say, like, this probably wouldn't happen, but let's just say they put on like a scarf and mittens and like a beanie hat. And if you're here in Florida, that's not what you need. Like, friends, you're gonna need stuff like mosquito spray if you're trekking through the woods or whatever. Like, you're gonna need snake boots. You might want some camo. You definitely need something to protect yourself. And you gotta have routes to get to one another. So if the roads close or your vehicle didn't work for some reason, how would you, I mean, we've seen that in apocalyptic movies before, where cars are just lined up and nobody can get anywhere. You know that when things go crazy, people have a tendency to panic. So you got to kind of be prepared and have, ideas in place. I've always told my nephews that we are on the lake, and literally they are basically on the other side of the lake from us, not directly. They would have to cross some highways, a little bit of roadway, but they could get to us if at all possible, and or we could try to get to them. And then if need be, we could then take it further and go to my parents. I mean, it would be a hike, it would be an all-day hike, but we could definitely do it. And we saw this kind of in North Carolina when people were literally taking donkeys, they were taking side-by-sides, and they were trying to find people and rescue people and, try to give help where help was needed. And I'm just saying, I think we have to think about those things. Like, what if the roads as we knew it got wiped off? What if planes started flying out of the sky? I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's all kinds of wonky things that could really occur. And it is definitely very concerning. So make sure that you have a plan in place to do the best you can to protect yourself should something go crazy here in the States, and be praying for our brothers and sisters over in these European countries. And you know, I think when you abuse Mother Earth and you take advantage of her, and people get these big egos about themselves and think that they can never be touched, there's always someone that's going to come along and try to take that. And so I think we've lost that sense of being humble. I think we've lost that sense of love. I think we've lost a little bit of that light. There are definitely people that have it, but I think we are starting to see more negative than we are positive, and that is very concerning. So I tell you guys, be the light, you know, like, make sure you got a plan. Definitely have some batteries, have some flashlights. Be prepared as if like there was a hurricane. Make sure you've got water if something happened to the electrical system. Here's a little pumpkin. Make sure you've got pet food. You definitely want to have some pet food, right? You gotta take care of our babies. Have pet food. Make sure that if you have anything that's on ice, that you have potentially a generator. Even a solar generator is really important. That's something that I had talked to my fiance about, which we don't have, so we will be looking into a solar generator, because those are just things that if the sun is not blocked out, we are able to you're a sweet girl, we are able to do the solar generators. And you know, like I said, we can come out here to the garden, and you know, that's why I grow what I'm growing. These flowers I'm making jellies with. And while, you know, people are like, well, you can't live on jelly. No, you can't. But I will tell you this, when the store gets wiped out because people are making panic moves, you will have stuff like this. And like I say, a lot of people don't realize that these flowers are edible. While they're not going to put a lot of calories into your system, you will have something. And this will also give you the opportunity to potentially barter. So I know a lady who has chickens, and she's not that far away. So if we could make contact with her in some way, shape, or form, we could do the exchange of eggs. And so that's what I'm saying. That's where community really comes in, and bartering comes in, and just having some alternative means and things that don't necessarily look like food in your garden, because the average person's not going to know that. They're not going to necessarily know that you can take these green seed pods and have capers with them and eat them. These leaves here, you can make pesto. You really need electric to do that. You can even make little wraps with that. Like I said, being on the water, there's an advantage to that, because being on the water, we can get potentially fish, which, you know, everybody in this neighborhood, and we have a lot of people on this lake and people that live in this neighborhood, they're going to be thinking the same things though. And that's what I'm saying. When everybody starts thinking the same things, oh, I'm going to go hunting, oh, I'm going to go, you know, I'll get me a deer, I'll get me a pig. That may be few and far between, because there are so many millions of people in the States. They're all going to probably start thinking the same thing. You're definitely going to have those people that are going to panic and they're not going to think clearly, but you're going to have people too that have kind of been preparing, and then that's where you can potentially become a target as well. And so that's why I like to implement stuff like this, to where people have no idea that you know, these flowers are edible, and it is something that I can share with other people. So really, I just want you all to be prepared, stay alert, make sure that we are, you know, paying attention to the world around us. Don't be scared. I'm not trying to fear, like, mongrel anybody, but I do want you all to be thinking about what is potentially ahead. So, and I think a lot of people have been kind of like feeling that. I think in their hearts, they know something's up. They just haven't been able to put their finger on it. So come together, friends. That's what I'm telling you. Come together, know your community, and please, please, please be praying for the future. Be praying for our brothers and sisters, because like I said, we all bleed the same, and we just don't want any families to be suffering unnecessarily because the uppers want to play war games, right? So all right, friends, hopefully this video will not be taken down, and everybody will be getting the message that they need to be staying safe and preparing as much as you can for the future. All right, everyone, until next time, love one another, be kind, and I cannot wait to see you guys really soon. All right, so here is your bonus, potentially not bonus. So I wanted to share this real quick. My brother from another mother, Paul, Mr. Paul, he, I always call him Brother Paul. He gave me this for my birthday, and this actually has a lot of meaning to it, because he carried this with him when he was in Iraq and Iran, and he was over there providing a military service for us. And he said both tours that he did, that he had this with him. And so honestly, this has so much meaning to me, because that tells me from like a therapeutic piece is that he gave me something that he took with him, that in his hurt and his pain and his sadness and his loneliness and his happiness and his joys, when he found moments of peace, that he had this with him. So there's a lot of emotions that came with this for him, and I will cherish this gift forever. And should something ever happen to him, God willing it doesn't, but I will ensure that his daughter has this. That is for sure, because her dad made a grand sacrifice of a piece of his life to be able to you know, provide us with security. And that's what I'm saying. War doesn't just affect, you know, just people that you don't know. No, absolutely not. War affects so many people. So please keep that in mind, that this is a really hard reality. There's so many people with PTSD. There's so many people that this is just not an easy road to go down. And so that's why I just want everybody to be praying. There are so many things that are happening so quickly, and we didn't even touch base on the recent earthquake that was over in Asia. And that's what I'm saying, like, there's so many things that are just, it's back to back to back to back. And a lot of times we like to blame, so I'm gonna get a little religious here, so if you don't want to listen to this piece of it, please step out now, stop watching, I respect that. But a lot of us like to blame it on, you know, negative energies. And so remember the book that I showed you guys, this is spiritual warfare, right? So we're gonna jump into this just a little bit, and so it talks about like people that kind of have how they envision Satan and like the demonic beings and or negative beings, right? And so they see them as having red horns, a pitched fork, but Satan is much more than that. He is powerful. Here are some characteristics of Satan and his demons. So it says that they are not human. That's found in Ephesians 6:12. They are evil. They are intelligent and wise. They are powerful. They are beings with personalities, which a lot of us don't think about that. They talk, they communicate, they feel, they have knowledge, they congregate in fellowship, they preach doctrines, they have desires, they have a will, they can actually work miracles, or what we as humans believe to be miracles. They possess supernatural strength, they fear God, they travel, they impersonate people, they know their fate, they recognize those who have power over them, and they are responsible for every evil known to man. So you can find that on page 589 if you want to go dive deep and reflect on this. I think that this is really good. I've been reading in the book of Job, and that's where we are. We are in the book of Job when we are talking about this section, and it talks about how Satan oppresses. And so again, that is on page 588. So that's where I'm at right now in my readings. I encourage you to dive deep into this. Remember, you must be studying this. You must have knowledge over what is coming, right? So it's not just about end times and revelation. It's not just fire and brimstone, which a lot of preachers just don't want to preach about. They fear preaching that. And but reality is we are definitely seeing some prophetic events that are occurring. We've got the red heifers, we've got talks of war, we've got earthquakes, we've got droughts, we've got rains. Now this has obviously been going on forever, and anybody could pick a time frame and say, oh, you know, when Hitler was around, I'm sure people thought it was probably the end of the world was coming, for sure. So you know, I'm not saying that's necessarily what's happening, but I am saying be prepared, not only with your food supply, but make sure that you are mentally and spiritually prepared for the battle that could soon be coming. So it's not just a physical battle, it could also be a spiritual battle for sure. And that's definitely what I think. I think that we're seeing a lot of spiritual situations occurring for sure. There's a really good YouTube video. It's called Messiah 2030. I will see if I can link it in my description or somewhere so that you guys can link onto that. I really like it because it kind of talks about time frames, and 2030 is really an interesting prophetic time frame in which people have quite a bit of predictions about. Also, when I was reading that article to you, they were saying by the year 2030 that they anticipate that there will be wars that have been going on. So go back and read that article that I just spoke about. There is plenty of news and information that is currently out there on what is going on in the world today. Don't overwhelm yourself, prepare yourself, right? That's what we want. We want to be prepared. All right, I will see you guys real soon.